Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Gary Schick and Adam Berg, Mike Dillon, and the Quest team here for our February Interactive Partner Forum. Appreciate your joining today. We have a great session today. Mike Dillon is our CTO, CIO, have a special guest today, and we're excited to have you join us. So next slide, Adam. All right, very good. So on the call from the partner team, many of you know us. Ryan Howard is out of our New Jersey East Coast area. Brian Purdue's out of Arizona, working nationally, obviously, but down that area. I'm out in Northern California. Adam's down in Arizona. And we appreciate you joining today for what we hope is a good session today. Slide. A couple of housekeeping sections. So the session is being recorded and summarized, which I didn't know that. I heard that on the call coming in this morning. So I'm excited to see what the summary looks like from the recording. It is interactive. So we welcome your contribution, whether if you want to come off the mute. We've got Brian and Ryan are going to be manning the text line over there. If you have any questions coming in, always add to the lively conversation. We want to make this valuable to the audience on here, and please feel free to chime in. And for those of you who have been here before and new folks, we do have an e-gift card for joining us this morning. So that'll be coming in after the session here as well. Agenda today, I'm going to just screen through a couple of things about Quest. For those of those new to the organization and about us, I'm going to turn it over to Adam for some of the new items that we have going on. We've got a service spotlight today with Mike Dillon, who's our CTO, CIO, talking about cybersecurity, industry updates, really focus around AI today. We can certainly wander off and go other places that you want, but obviously it's a hot topic in the industry. And Mike is here to share a couple of things from his chair that he's seen and some success that we have over there. We'll go through our calendar and then wrap up with some Q&A. Okay, so real quick about Quest. Been around since 1982, very, very long time. Real simple go-to-market strategy. How can we help? We're vendor agnostic, technology system integrator. Really, customers kind of tell us what they're looking for help with. I'm not a company that builds a widget or has a product and, hey, come buy my stuff. We've been very, very successful in delivering technologies, delivering services to work, make those systems work, get them integrated, get them implemented, runs top to the bottom of the stack that you see here. Adam's going to spend a little bit more time talking about our go-to-market strategies and how all this works. There's a list of things that you can see there on the left. Adam's going to talk about some more core building blocks. We do this globally. So, in the channel, obviously there's less ways to deliver things at Quest. We don't have a thought that you have to come to us to deliver services. We can really bring our entire portfolio to wherever you or your customer might be. That can be in Quest facilities, that can be in public cloud services, that can be in hybrid locations. We have a very significant global edge compute delivery capability for edge devices. So again, depending upon how the customer needs and wants to consume services, we can really, land them where they want to be as a big part of our service. That includes technical services, end user help desk, colo, data centers, and really from a consumption model perspective, CapEx, OpEx, where they want it to live is really up to the customer, and that's been a very, very successful model for us. So with that, Adam, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, really to kind of go through a little bit about our a little extension on the strategy we just discussed there and kind of what's new. And thank you for taking it away.
Yeah, thanks, Gary, and appreciate everyone hopping on today to join us for the partner forum. Again, this is interactive. If you have any questions or anything you want to address, please in the chat, or you're welcome to come off mute and ask questions live. I want to make this of value to you and your team members as we're going through things. We put out a survey at the beginning of the year asking all of our partners, all our TSD relationships, everyone in the channel really, what we could do better, what they were experiencing with Quest, how they were engaging with us, areas they'd like us to focus on. And we got lots of great feedback. So if you took the time to fill out that survey, thank you, first of all. for taking the time to do that. That's how we, improve our channel program and work, closer with you as our partners. But we saw a consistent thread throughout all of the feedback around the idea that Quest does a lot of different things, right? So and we talk about core building blocks, and this is an eye chart of our managed services offerings, where a lot of different things we do, from managed backups, alerting, cyber defense suite services, incident response, infrastructure, professional services, DR, tons of things out there. And some common feedback we got from both, technology advisors in the field working directly with the clients, as well as our TSD relationships, is, hey, where do we start, right? What's something where we can start an engagement? What's something that we can take out to market to communicate to the end users and to the partners that we can sell to start the journey down some of these offerings? So at a simplified way, we kind of tried to take a lot of what we did and put into, a couple different categories around managed services. Everyone on this line, we all love monthly reoccurring revenue, right? Now, Gary mentioned we have a value-added reseller background. We can CapEx things. We can do one-time professional services. But today I want to focus in our partner forum on monthly reoccurring revenue and how do we start that engagement, and where can we go and move together when we're addressing your clients. So breaking into 4 categories: managed cloud, managed security services, managing organizations' operations, and managing their network, right? So there's 4 buckets where you can start, and then breaking those down a little bit more. We have resources that help with Azure, AWS, and G Suite. There's a lot of organizations that are moving workloads from those hyperscalers back to on-premise, so we can help out in the private or hybrid. Gary mentioned our distributed edge cloud footprint. There's a lot you can do around that. So managed cloud transitions into a lot of different services. So we can start at managed cloud conversations. Managed security, a lot of you know around managed security services, and we're going to kind of have a catalyst conversation here in a second. But security operations, vulnerability management, helping organizations understand what they have, supporting what they have, or providing security assets that Quest manages and delivers. Managed security is a big area that you can focus on, and we've got some strategies around where to start. Managed operations, these are things that are helping organizations keep things going. Their help desk, our technical on-call support for remote and on-site resources, getting people dispatched on-site. We're not opposed to getting people boots on the ground anywhere your customers need them across the globe for physical moves, changes, updates, replacement, swapping things out, whatever you need. And then a big piece, I read a great article that was posted on LinkedIn earlier this week around the idea that virtual CISO services is kind of a table stakes offering for the MSP suite these days. About 2 years ago, we moved from the vCISO concept to a virtual security team, and we're continuing to evolve and add to that practice around compliance and risk management as a service. So beyond just filling out those types of questionnaires and audits for a vCISO, hey, let's help develop, manage, and maintain risk management. So these are operational services where we help. And then managed network is a catch for a lot of other things that your clients are looking for help with. Infrastructure services. Can't tell you how many questions we get from the TSDs. Hey, do you do SD-WAN and firewall as a service? Pounding the table as politely as I can right now. Yes, we do firewall as a service. Yes, we do infrastructure as a service. Yes, we do SD-WAN. What's the client trying to do? Our managed network capabilities bundle those solutions together with connectivity, with Wi-Fi, with all sorts of different products at the front end and at the edge to help manage that network. So very, very flexible. But again, I went from a simplified concept and just made it very complex again, right? So apologies for the redundant eye chart there, but we're going to drill down on, okay, where do we start? One of the best places for you to start as a technology advisor with your clients, and this is something that we are evangelizing everywhere we go, is our checkup program. It's a very, very simple, quick start engagement to help you and your clients understand where they are today. So when you're talking about these 7 different areas, what is a cybersecurity checkup program? These are the 7 areas where people traditionally and typically get in trouble, right? Email security, patch management, endpoint protection, backups, how they're remotely connecting. So VPN, MFA, single sign-on, DNS and URL filtering, where you're allowing your people to go, and then firewall and IPS. So these are the different platforms. We will come in and evaluate and provide recommendations on all 7 of these platforms for $4,500. Your clients can pick one if they want to start with one for $775 or 3 for $2,100. This is not a big investment for a client that's trying to understand a little bit more about their security. So as an example, I'm just going to take one for an example, email security flow, right? They could be leveraging Microsoft tools. They could be leveraging Proofpoint. They could be leveraging Mimecast. They could be leveraging any of multiple email security flow and email security tools. What Quest will do is bring in a senior network engineer, a senior security engineer, someone who has experience in that specific discipline, will pop the hood on that platform, review what they have configured, what policies they have configured, how they're managing that asset, and we're going to provide a snapshot and a checkup of how they're doing that with recommendations based on our daily experience in this world. The reason we picked these 7 is we see incident response and IRs and security incidents every single day. We've got activated 3 times just this week in different IR engagements where clients are having emergencies, and something happens within these 7 areas, typically. Say 90% of the time, this is where something goes wrong. So what we'll do, regardless of the underlying technology, so regardless of what they have for email security, what they're using for backups, what they're using for endpoint protection, we'll go in. The discipline doesn't change just because the software provider is different, okay? And from a security standpoint, this is what we believe. We can come in and provide valuable feedback for them as far as what they could be doing better, what they're doing well. And then if they wanted to change, transition, or have us come in and manage that for them, what that would look like. So it's a great conversation, and areas where you guys as technology advisors can simply plug this in is if they're going through any kind of an audit, if they just went through some kind of a migration, if they're going or about to go through a merger or acquisition process, or if they're trying to figure out where they are from a security due diligence standpoint, you can bring in the Quest Checkup program as a very, very low cost, low entry starting point that these engagements transition to monthly recurring revenue. So as an example, a customer success story, we had a regional healthcare organization. They did the full bundle. They did all 4,500. Mike and his team, they brought in the team to kind of evaluate some firewall policies, evaluate the backups, the multi-factor authentication. It ended up transitioning after we kind of, talked to them about what they were doing into an incident response engagement, as well as a pretty substantial monthly reoccurring contract to help them with their firewalls, their help desks, they're helping them with some AV. Started out 22 and has consistently added up to, it's now about 67K a month. So these are smallest starting points that can really help expand your monthly reoccurring. And again, there's a lot of things that we do here, like that 67,000 MRC is 15 different services. So how do you land a 15 different services engagement? You start small with a checkup. So I don't know, Gary or Mike, if there's anything you guys want to add on that from a checkup standpoint.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Mike.
Just one thing there too. It's always, the kind of the fox watching the hen house spot here. If you've already sold somebody some of those services and you're supposed to be the trusted advisor, it's also completely okay for you to come in and say, hey, I sold you this SOC service or something like that to this customer. But as far as a checkup goes, I want to bring in Quest just to have them do the third party checkup here. So we completely understand the swim lane. Most of the time when we find it, like Adam's talking about, there's other topics or other areas that you may want to get in besides just, checking out how the other team's doing. And see if they have, security is a big picture here. So you may have positioned them for one thing, but there's, 3 or 4 other things too. So we see this with our partners. Doesn't mean that, Quest is going to come in and take over all these services either. We're just sort of there to be that third party check along with you guys. So that seems like it helps out for, people to help expand, and also kind of gives that thought of, hey, let's just make sure that the Fox isn't washing in-house. Let's do some sanity checks. So we'll do this at times once every 6 months or once every year for customers too. So that sort of blends in with maybe what you have existing and helps you expand more too.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
Adam,
we
I
do
think for
have
me, I'm sorry, yeah, the biggest opportunity for me is anyone who's tried to enter an account to discuss cybersecurity services. Customers have stuff, so they probably have a lot of these things that they purchased. They're managing. They have these things internally. The next question is how do you know it's working? That is a big piece. Sometimes these things are not deployed properly. They get a little hair on them over time. There's lots and lots of opportunity for customers who already have things. So extending on Mike's conversation, the conversation doesn't end when someone gives you the stiff arm and says, I'm good. It's that next question that will get you into a bigger conversation.
Yep. Absolutely. And we do have a lot of assets on this program. We're going to be talking a little bit about it later, but we have data sheets and training videos, but we also have put together some campaigns and some specific toolkits for you. If you want to leverage those, please let us know in the chat. Darcy and the channel partner team can get you those assets and get you that link for some of those campaign playbooks. If you want to, hey, let's put together a little bit of a business development effort here together to get some of these on the books. So if you want some advanced, additional marketing support or campaign support, we have that built out for this and about 6 other areas of focus as well that we'll be jumping into. The next one is around kind of managed operations. So where do we start in managed operations? How do we get into help desk or service desk or patch management or updates or moving people from one cloud provider to another or connecting applications? Tons of different avenues to start there. And sometimes you have to be there at a specific point in time when that project's kicking off or when it's, evolving. A great way to be in that conversation, regardless of when it happens, is to position technical on-call support. We call it our talks support services, where it's basically a 24/7 availability for your clients to open up a ticket or open up a request to coordinate an engineer or a resource remotely, on-site, or after hours at predefined, pre-published rates where everyone knows exactly what that resource is going to cost. And it augments their engineering team with skill sets that they need. So we've seen clients use this as kind of like the Uber for engineering. I need this skill set at this location at this time and date to help me with this project. And so what this really does is this extends their IT team, right? This is an extension of their team. Maybe they don't want to fly someone down to replace a wireless access point at a regional office. Maybe they need some help hanging some cameras at a new warehouse that they're building out. Maybe they are going through a VMware renewal process and they got to figure out, how am I going to migrate these 5 hosts to a different hypervisor? Whatever it is, whatever platform it is, it could be data cabling all the way to security incident response services or sec and DevOps or orchestration of cloud services. Some we're going to be putting on here specifically. Shout out to Ryan Howard for this one. Specifically resources around the hyperscalers, right? Sometimes partners look at this list and they don't realize that this engineering rate here, this engineering rate here can apply to AWS, Azure, and GCP, right? The same as, a couple call outs here in other areas. So this is Uber for engineering. We recommend starting at a $5,000 retainer, right? It's fully commissionable. Every reload is fully commissionable. This is a great way to capture new logos. We have a $500 new logo spiff in addition to your traditional points that come through from a commission standpoint for this. So fantastic way to start the conversation with clients. Rarely do we get on a call with a customer and a partner, talk through technical on-call support, and they don't say, yeah, that makes sense, let's move forward. This is a easy sell to get in there. And then what happens is when you see those requests come in as the partner record on the account, those opportunities come in, those projects evolve. They're asking for help around video surveillance. They're asking for help around SQL. They're asking for help around their firewall config. You're in their operations. You're helping as a managed operation, agent in there who then can come in and we can address the need that is coming out of that project. No one works on their firewall for no reason. No one drops in new video surveillance or access control issues for no reason. You're part of their operation. So if you're having conversations with firms about needing additional level 2 or level 3 support, emergency coverage, if they're tight on staffing, if someone's going out or coming in on maternity or paternity leave, if they're needing help for like troubleshooting, they just need backup, they need a safety net of resources. Every single customer we're dealing with today has a need for technical on-call support. This is a fantastic way to kind of plant your flag at an account and be available, and we can be available, when they do need help. One of our best success stories in the channel year to date started out with this line item right here, this SQL.NET and SharePoint cost model. They needed some help assessing a SQL database. It opened the door to their core application, where we were able to help them with a full rebuild and then ongoing operational support for a long-term engagement. Almost $5 million in staffing services have been put through that single account. And it all started with this one little line item right here of a SQL engineer getting called in for about 4 or 5 hours of work to help him out with a database assessment. So these are fantastic catalysts for, hey, you want to help people with their IT? You can go try to sell them the new shiny thing if you want to, or you can place a technical on-call support agreement in there and be there when the shift happens, and you can capture a lot of what they're trying to do. So huge opportunity around helping folks out with managed operations. We have some, on-call support resources. These, again, great one-pagers. We have some good, use cases for it and some white papers on the website. We also have some training on how to sell it, how to tag it, good videos on the resources tab. And again, we have a technical on-call support campaign playbook. It's got LinkedIn posts, it's got branded materials, it's got things that you can brand yourself. It's got email campaigns that if you want to put together a 3-campaign blast with our marketing team to reach out to your clients and say, hey, this is technical on-call support. It's a different way of helping. It's on-call, retainer-based, Uber of engineering. We have that asset ready to go for you. So if you're interested in the playbooks, please, again, let us know in the chat or, let your channel manager know, and we'll get you tied in with Darcy and the Marcom team to get that going. So that's it for me on what's new and what we're seeing out there. We're going to be seeing more of these. We're going to try to keep putting those things together to help land the plane and get you guys going. Because I know we do a lot. So we want to try to help you position that as best we can. I'm really excited. Mike's hopping on here. Mike's been with Quest, 25 plus years, helped build our managed services team, we have a joke about our managed services that I think he started out with I don't know if it was a 2-post rack or 4-post rack that Tim was busting your chops on overspending for managed services back in 1998. But Mike's been with Quest for a very, very long time, helping us build out our network operations, our security operations teams. a lot of great industry experience across thousands of clients, and wanted to bring him in to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the AI conversation, as well as what we're just kind of seeing from a cybersecurity industry update. So, Mike, appreciate you joining us today. Wanted to kind of start off with a little bit of conversation around a workshop that we developed a little over a year and a half ago, and how we're seeing that land.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Hey, just on the talk too, had a lot of people ask about that $5,000. People think it's use it or lose it. So if they renew the contract after 12 months, it just rolls over too. So I get hit with a lot of people trying to come to me or come to Quest about some sort of support package too. Very, very few of them, it's use it or lose it within a year. So that's not our picture. Or they got very tight categories about how you can use it, whatever. Ours is really flexible. Like Adam said, you can use it for any one of those services. And then also they extend after the 12 months or whatever, then we would just roll over those funds too. So just FYI, that's seems to be people are feeling it from other vendors. Definitely Microsoft being one of those. They're an arm and leg, plus you don't use all the hours within a year, you lose it. So that's not us. So artificial intelligence, kind of funny. I think it was called Add Another Intern. So one of the things that we started, like Amazon, about was just sitting down with customers and just trying to figure out what this means to them. As you know, there's tons of apps out there. They're flying out of the world just for everywhere. Everybody's got some sort of AI. It feels like we're not sure who's going to stick around or who's going to buy who, or really what the customer is committed to. I'd also tell you probably right now there's a little bit of a change in the wind here with people. When you ask them, do you have an AI strategy? And they say no. We're trying to figure that out still. Well, what's happening is your employees or their employees are probably building an AI strategy for them too. So now we're getting into what they refer to as AIDR, detection and response, not disaster recovery. So you may not have an AI strategy for your business, but your employees may have an AI strategy for your sensitive data, PHI, whatever, PII type of information that people are being asked about now. So if there's a HIPAA client out there, the idea that, hey, you've got to protect this. So the only strategy that you may have right now is AIDR, because your business really hasn't figured out how they're going to use AI. So we've gone through that, those like discussions with customers around how to do their protection for it, of resilience for like AI thought there. We call it an AI readiness too. But we sit down with customers, we try to figure out with them from a business perspective, if they've got one. Sometimes people don't have it figured out. I'm going to save $1 million here. I'm going to be able to reduce my staff here. I'm going to increase the productivity of like people by 50%, whatever those business things are. One of the things that we consistently hear from people is that I don't know what it is today, but if I don't have one in 3 or 4 years, I think we're going to be hurting. So it's a big deal on some of the stuff about how do you get started? Where do you where do you start from? How do you kind of build something too that could adapt to these different trends, i.e. different AI tools? Maybe some of your core software packages are coming out with different AI capabilities. Maybe so-and-so buys so-and-so, or maybe you find a different, the latest and greatest AI tool. So how do you kind of work through this? And in 3 or 4 years, because what we have learned over the past year or two, this isn't just a slam dunk. We've seen the number 2 where people have talked about, 90% of the AI projects have failed, and so on and so forth. So I do see people trying to swing for the fence all the time. Obviously, they don't get it a lot of times, or they may get it, but it's in practice, if you will. It's not in real life. Or it's not in their operational environment. So there's a lot of great ideas out there with AI, but now to actually execute on something, it just changes everything. So how do you move forward? So we put together this workshop where we sit down, take some time with the customers. We kind of model it after our what we call our business continuity or disaster recovery workshops too. Sort of, what is AI? What is the buzz within your business, within your industry, within your operations? Maybe there are some ideas that people are trying to work for. Maybe there is some containment. Maybe we just have to put together an infrastructure and a platforms ready to absorb multiple AI platforms or AI tools. So we'll sit down with them, start this conversation, work from something that where they are versus maybe where we think they ought to be. I see a lot of people coming in with AI telling you where you need to be. And, there's a big gap from where they are today. So it takes time. So any good strategy is probably just not going to fall off the shelf and land in your lap, although a lot of people want it to, but this stuff could actually take, a year or two to get implemented, tuned, and then even challenged. Okay. So AI workshop, that's been good for us. It's pretty straightforward. We got some typical starting ranges down there. And what we do is we'll get some time with the leadership before the workshop, and then we'll talk with the customer about who needs to be in the workshop, kind of get some, juices flowing there with that thought. And then we'll set up an agenda based off of the meetings there with the client around some of their key challenges, some of their key objectives, maybe even talk about their competition, talk about their customers, talk about where they could start, where they want to end up. So we'll take that information, develop that into an agenda, and sit down with the full team, and then work through that. That sit down time is probably anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. We could do it on site, or we could do it via WebEx, whatever the customer is comfortable with. So it's a really good starting point. It may even be we're seeing people like, hey, they've tried something on their own. They need to get this a little bit more, in an environment that they could be coached on more, more of a sounding board, more of a roadmap, because they've done some of these things and they've gotten burnt or just didn't work out the first time. So it doesn't have to be their first thought on AI. We do go into people, and it's, they've gone a round or two with AI about something, and they're just sort of stuck. Adam, anything else you want to add to that thought? Or Gary, I know you guys are in a lot of these calls too. So about the workshop. Good.
No, I mean, it is more often than not, it's usually it is kind of the second bite at the apple for some of them. They've either tried it or they've, had an experience with it, or they're dealing with like a shadow subscriptions, or,
Right.
their workforce using it without necessarily, vetting it through their security policies or corporate governance and those types of things. So there's usually a driver behind it when they actually want to sit down and do that workshop or get some consult. There's some type of a pain point or some type of a trigger.
Yeah. I think that pain point just being that they think something's been compromised. So they find out, which a lot of corporations don't find out until later, but they find out something got in one of these tools and it handles things like PHI data. And somebody goes, oh, holy crap, what did we just do? What do we do next? Like, am I supposed to do something here? And if there's some, pretty specific things about what people have to do as they identify these things. Put your head in the sand. Can be one strategy, but people are concerned, going, okay, what just got released? And people don't know that until people are in there doing their thing, and all of a sudden somebody puts a spreadsheet up there with some sort of information, or somebody contract or something that's got information on it, somebody's invoice, something like that, and all of a sudden somebody goes, holy crud, you just put it up open to the OpenAI tool. So that has been coming to be more of a kind of an instant response, security that we're dealing with too. So yeah, there's usually that event that caused it, but like any other technology, not too unusual. they're just tons of things that are like coming at you here with AI capabilities. So like this slide shows, right? It just the attack surface is continuing to grow and to expand. So there is no like, hey, put me just in the safe spot right now unless you have a real strategy. Like people are really trying to find out, what does a safe spot even look like? Can it really be that safe? What are my risks around it? What are my employees doing today that I don't know about? So they're concerned, and it's probably valid. Not only external data, but what's sharing internal with people. Sometimes people don't, you don't need to see the HR data. You don't need to see the, customer record data. You don't need to see that stuff. So anyway, the attack service here has just been huge. And I would imagine, I see somebody's got an AI tool up on the website for recording this. Even tools like that, I think are going to come through here with a legal perspective. I'm not sure if anyone here has been in a deposition, but give me all of your information about all of your recordings. And then what'd you guys say? What'd you guys talk about? That stuff expands to that level of risk also. So I like the tool. I mean, I kind of wish I could use it on every one of my calls, but you got to look at the risk of using tools like that. And then if you get into a deposition or something, it's just going to be part of the world. So here we go. Let's rock and roll on AI tools. So one of the strategies that we do like to look at is we do like to look at security readiness. So Microsoft obviously is a big player out there with a lot of people from endpoints to Azure and Entra and so on and so forth. You may not know what you're going to do with Copilot maybe yet, or even with some of the other tools or some of the other Azure Copilot tools, AI tools. But let's understand how far you are as far as making this an enterprise readiness spot in from a security perspective. So we've gone through this with a lot of customers trying to identify just what's their readiness like. So we look at assets, we look at your platforms, we look at protocols, we look at your current, how do you classify data today? How do you control and how do you manage Entra? Your identity management. So we get in looking through these things, and there's some great tools out there. There's one there called Purview and DLP. Some of these tools, people think they have an AI strategy with Microsoft and Copilot, and they don't even have them turned on. I'm like, then you're missing out what this tool does here, because you've got to have that defense thought in mind, and you've got to be able to respond here when somebody has compromised your policy. So, or maybe they've created a new area that you didn't have a policy for, so now you got to address it. I know it's kind of interesting. I'm sure people get into the Meta glasses, but the Meta glasses with the AI, it's got the camera and the recording and everything. It's even got the hands for your emotions, your like hand detection. So I saw those back in June of last year, and they were being sold in very specific Ray-Ban stores, like very specific. I think on the West Coast, there's like LA, San Francisco, and maybe Vegas or something. So very specific Ray-Ban stores. I'm a source. Well, guess what? Now they're being sold in Best Buy. So you walk into a Best Buy now, they got probably a great big display of Meta and the AI tools. Well, that's great. And they're subscription glasses too, by the way. They're just not just sunglasses or just cool glasses that got recordings and whatnot. But now people are wearing them around. So we're going through our hospitals, and people are wearing these into the hospitals. They're even concerned about walking into a waiting area, and they're recording who's in the waiting area. So they're sort of freaking out here a little bit about how do they stop this? Because that could be information they don't need to have recording up on the internet and a video shot of people in the waiting room, and there's customers there going, hey, how in the heck did this happen? I'm in your hospital, and there's video of me and my family. It's probably not looking all that great. We're sick, and you've got it up on the internet. Not good. So there's a lot of, a lot of those concerns. So it's a little bit of that's probably a little bit of AI versus the virtual, virtual reality and virtual, and then augmented reality. But that's what's coming together here with all this stuff. They're like cool to have, and their prescription. So now they've got to go through their entire world here and figure out their policies, which is part of this. Look at your policies. Signage, you got to figure out, okay, I got to tell people you can't wear these glasses because if I see them, I'm going to tell you you can't wear them. Okay, so that's a challenge. And then also I got to be able to see if I detect it. So can I detect people making strange hand gestures to themselves? Can I hear words in there like Siri? Can I hear those type of things that I know that's their AI glasses? Can I see a little red, beaking light there on their glasses? And then I got to train the people at the front, what to look for. These are the glasses that we're looking for. So these are the things, not only from a IT perspective, but a policy perspective. How do I enforce those? And those are the things coming back to the AIDR thought that are hitting people here going, how do I detect and how do I respond to this stuff? So as we go through this, and Microsoft's a big player here, this is just the beginning of it, looking at your Microsoft. But if you're out talking to people and they think they've got Microsoft and they think they're AI ready, and you're not hearing them talk about things like Purview, Entra, DLP, then they're not really doing the DR. They're not doing the detection part. They're probably just rolling with AI stuff. So we go through, look at that, and that stuff needs to be talked about. There's conversations that need to be how they have it set up. DLP's been around a long time. That's data loss prevention. That's not a new term. And people have had previous blocks on that. Hey, we tried that on email and it got weird. And okay, so how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it here with AI? And what are you going to look for? And what's your policy going to be? And then you got to take all those policies and all those thoughts, of course, and apply it to these tools. If you're going to be on Microsoft, if you're going to be on ChatGPT, if you're going to be on Cloudia, whatever you're going to be on, I need to apply them not to just one AI tool, but I need to apply it to all of them. So you can see this going back to the previous slide of your whole, threat environment, of your whole, area that could be, potentially compromised has gone to the roof. So anyway, I'm sure lawyers will be having a heyday. There are cases out there right now, some of this stuff, they're just going to, make the lawyers a bunch of money. So if you're a law firm on this thing, good. Get into this. I'm sure we've already started to do that on our IR stuff for forensics. So we get up on a call and we're going through any type of incident response or any type of data loss or something. Lawyers are already asking about AI tools. Fraud, lawyers are already asking about AI tools. So just FYI, that's coming to a store near you. So we have been out there, going through the thought here about what you could do with Microsoft. I definitely think the whole idea there, we got the first bullet here, and just sort of what that means there is just, there's a lot of things going on within the CSP account, even on the stuff with Microsoft. Is it an Office 365 tool? Is it an Azure tool? Consolidating that down. We have a lot of people that we're finding out there are a lot of CSPs out there that are just providing licensing. There is no extreme or other value services with it. They're just providing you license. Now, per CSP rules, and I think Microsoft is cutting back on some of the stuff, you're supposed to be at least handling level 1 and level 2, depending on your type there. But a lot of people are just processing licenses, and they just can't keep up with customers that are coming to them going, what am I supposed to do here? Well, that's us. So we supply the CSP license, plus we supply the consulting services, plus the managed services and the regulatory and the policy stuff along with it. So we're just not the CSP pushing stuff. We also want to help them manage and really going through this whole, gauntlet of like AI concerns, it's really going to be a big deal. So talk about that. I think the other thing too is just, being there to talk to them about AI. There's a lot of buzzwords out there. There's a lot of cool things. A lot of people are trying a bunch of stuff, but if you can take it with them at a higher level, going, hey, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Where do we start? And that's back to the workshop piece of it. So, so it is, like it says up here, it is going to be a journey. Position yourself to be that guide of that journey versus you're just a character actor. So if you can kind of position yourself here to help guide people through this, I think you got a lot of opportunity for the next 3 to 5 years here to help people through a lot of these challenges around AI. Right? Some of the key points here too, if you haven't gotten into some of these things, there is an agent thought, which is interesting. If you're in the Microsoft world, there's this agent, well, in AI world, there's an agent. And in the Microsoft world, they have SCUs. So it's interesting when we get into, there was recently the E5, Microsoft said, hey, if you're on E5, you get Copilot for security. That's back in November. People are still waiting for some of that stuff, but that's what they said. The interesting thing is how they're going to charge for these. So there's going to be that you got the capability to run the tool, and depending if you have E5 licenses, maybe you have some sort of a base of it. But you've got to understand when you set up these policies and these rules of these agents on what they're going to scan and detect and then take action on, they are going to charge you for processing time on every one of those signals that you're going to be looking at. So there's this thing called SCU thought that they're going to be charging customers. So we have people that have been doing AI and Copilot for a while, and all of a sudden, after about 3 or 4 months, their bill is around an extra $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And so because they've implemented so many of these policies and they wanted this to be fully automated, that it cost them more money, and it kind of surprised the management team. So we had to work with them to kind of, what was duplicated, kind of, farm that out. Do you really need this? Is this really being effective? So on and so forth. So people may be putting up a lot of these AI rules, and it could be, charging more money. There is no, anything for free here. Microsoft is just giving people Copilot for security, but they didn't say that you're not going to have to worry about the SKUs. So there's a lot of AI agent things taking place, creating them, integrating them. Some of it may refer to as an API thought, but it's going to be probably a little bit more of an AI agent thought as you integrate the different tools too. So good stuff. Readiness assessment, we kind of put down there a typical range. That we come in here and we just start having the discussions that we talked about earlier, and we give you a little bit of a roadmap, talk to you about some of the next moves, recommendations, and so on and so forth. All right.
Awesome.
Questions on that one, Adam, Gary? I see some questions popping up here, so I don't know if you want to hop to questions and roll from there. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Yeah, no, that's great. Any questions specifically on that from the team, or Brian or Ryan, Gary, you guys are managing the chat there for Mike? Anything we want to run by Mike while we have him on the call? Things we can definitely follow up with afterwards. Looks like we got a lot of chatter going on.
Yeah, and I think the next slide is kind of transition into some other engagement opportunities also there for Mike. For you, Mike.
Awesome. Yeah, we keep okay. Mike busy these days with the partner world. So we have something we also have every month that we're doing is kind of some specific lessons learned and real things that we're seeing. We're running a security advisory open forum once a month. This is not a sales pitch around workshops or specific engagements. It's primarily what we're seeing in the market around trends, breaches, risks, certain things that clients need to be looking out for. We do it, try to do it every once a month on usually Wednesday mid-morning. It's about 45-minute session. We kind of jump in, we go through just what's happening in the market, right? So mandatory rollouts, patch requirements, updates, things that we're seeing, trends. So, and we also offer some Q&A there as well. We have clients, your clients hop on, partners hop on. It's a collaborative session. So it's just an open forum that we're putting out there every month. So if you're interested in registering for that, or you think a client would gain some value from joining it, It's definitely grown. We have a couple, we record every session as well. So good content there. One thing that we're looking to do, around, again, where do you start? If you're trying to get into AI conversation, or if you're trying to get into cybersecurity conversation, just being curious with your clients to get involved in how they're going to consume the technology or where they're looking for help. If they want it on-prem or off-premise, cloud first strategies, how are they doing this? Just get curious about it. We have a lot of different, what we call service pillars that can help. A lot of agents and technology advisors and consultants that we work with sometimes go for the big transaction. But the day two support, hey, if you missed out on the MFA, if you missed out on the endpoint or the EDR or XDR or SIM purchase or whatever it may be, the day two support, the ongoing management, maintenance, and operational support is really, really, helpful for folks. But again, we're trying to position some proactivity with you guys and making sure we're giving you content that you need. So the difference between kind of reacting to a request versus positioning yourself in there as an architect, as someone who's helping with an outcome, are the workshops that we do, are the cybersecurity checkups that we put in place, the AI security readiness, helping organizations, get ready for that transition, trying to be proactive, it kind of puts you in a trusted advisor versus trusted architect kind of model. You're helping them down the path long term, as opposed to maybe helping an organization select from three vendors that want their business for that specific transaction. So a little bit of a tweak, a little bit of a mindset shift there. If you want to be a little bit proactive in helping them down that path, that's an area we're trying to, and we're open to feedback, trying to position for you guys. One of the best ways we've seen this done, and we have we have some good records for this if you're interested in it, an engagement strategy around capability reviews. So a capability review with you and your customer on a one-on-one session, what they're dealing with from an IT landscape, what their different IT assets are. And then we go through a little bit of a service overview of like how Quest can help. And then we put in a little bit of more information around use cases and, how we engage. Capability reviews are usually between 30 to 45 minutes. About 8 out of 10 of our capability reviews lead to contracted services. And these are a huge catalyst for getting engaged. A lot of times it's a talks agreement. A lot of times it can be some type of a security awareness training or review or penetration test or assessment. But capability reviews are fantastic options that we want to empower you guys with. And by the way, $250 direct spiff to you guys through a virtual gift card for every single capability review that you sign up. So if you're looking to pay for your business development, $250 per lead is a pretty good direct spiff. We have the turnkey marketing playbooks. I teased this a little bit at the beginning of the call. These are assets that are built to provide a full suite of messaging around our key initiatives. So Cyber Defense Suite, Technical On-Call Support, the Microsoft Application Development Suite of Services, Risk Management. If you're interested in kind of broadcasting that you have capabilities to help your clients in these specific areas, we have them fully baked, ready to go for you to customize on your own and kind of put out however you'd like to from your own campaign standpoint. Talk to your channel manager about that. Very, very powerful tools that you can use to develop business, and we're here to help you do that if you're interested in the marketing playbooks. Real quick, we are continuing our spiff program for our pipeline spiffs. These are 3 areas where we are really seeing great growth, and we want to incentivize the channel. for these. These are not awarded spiffs. These are pipeline spiffs. So if you have a client who would like to discuss anything in the application development space, SQL database, APIs, SharePoints, SharePoint migration or optimization. Hey, I need to improve this application. I'm having trouble with this database. It's $500 to get Quest on a call as your shoulder-to-shoulder partner to address that need. So if you're bringing us in as your partner, hey, this is Quest. They can help you with this initiative around application development. $500 directly to you for that introduction. Same with our cyber defense suite and our risk management practice. Again, that virtual CISO that every single MSSP under the sun has, that's cool. We differentiate a little bit around actually risk management strategies. So risk management as a service, DR consulting as a service, helping with that with CMMC and compliance, helping firms manage that entire process. If you have a risk conversation, that's a pipeline spiff as well. So $500 just for the introduction and for that engagement. And then again, like we chatted about, new logo spiff of $500 for every single new logo that comes in. And if you're looking to pay for a business development representative, it's $250 per capability review that you bring the Quest channel team in to kind of meet with you and your client and talk through a different way of supporting IT services. So, Gary, you want to kind of walk through? I know we got a lot on the docket here for the next couple of months. Partner team schedule here. We're out in the field a lot. We want to be available for the community, and so we're doing a lot of sessions. If you're interested, we are doing some boot camp series for a specific webinar training. Those are coming up every month starting on the 24th of March. Excited about that session and those series. Those are a lot of fun around like diving deep into specific Quest offerings. But and then the highlighted blue sessions here are in-person events that we're going to be at as well. So. Great. Excellent. Well,
Okay.
Gary, anything in closing? I know we're coming up on the top of the hour.
No,
here.
Yeah, I think we're at the top of the hour. This was a really super helpful session. We appreciate the opportunity to engage the questions that come in and all the lively dialogues. Hopefully, we're open to suggestions and comments coming in here. But thank you on behalf of Adam and Mike and the Quest partner team for participation. We really look forward to continued engagement. Appreciate the opportunity to get connected today.
Thanks everyone very much for joining us today, and we'll be back next month with the next partner forum. And please, if you're out in the field, we'd love to see you, love to meet with you, love to learn how we can help.